Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are live on a Tuesday for Draped in Gold. I'm Jack Farmer, being joined by Flobo Boyce. But what is this? A new layout I see as we got Alfred of Pro Wrestling Bits joining us for a very special episode. Alfred,
hi everybody.
buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Best day of my life. It's great to see you guys. Hey, I look forward to this. I like Flobo. We're both out here in LA, and Jack, it's been a while since I've seen you, but it's always so good to see you on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. But it's good to be together.
Pro Wrestling Biz, is that like a snack food? Like what is that? Is it a podcast?
No, it's the biggest meal in all of pro wrestling.
Let's go.
Bits as in jokes, as in bits, comedy, jokes, meals, snacks. Yeah, there are some snack-sized pro wrestling bits on the Shorts feed, but I just put out a new pro wrestling bit today. So thank you for bringing that up. Transition really like an hour ago. I think legitimately, I think everybody is going to like it. I think every single person who watches it's going to like it.
I didn't realize how pliable the word bits is until just this moment, because bits to me, it came off as like, is it like a video game thing? Like how many bytes and bits or something?
Yeah, see, and that's funny because I do use a lot of 8-bit music. And so I just thought bit was a great word for it. And it's funny though, because bits can also be confused with another word, female dog, which
I was thinking tidbits, which also sounds kind of dirty if you think about it.
Right.
Some tidbits.
It's funny where once you start to veer in a certain direction with something, you can't get off that track. Like we've talked about how bits could sound like something, and then Flobo says it could sound dirty. Now there's no getting back.
Like, unlock the dirty door.
There's nothing we can do to get back. But man, Alfred, I'm so glad to have you on, and I'm glad everyone who's joining us here. We already got that Danny C in the chat. We got KOD in the chat. Zach Minge 990 in the chat. Thank you guys so much for being with us. Like, comment, share, subscribe, 5-star review. Alfred, I'm glad you're on here. I've been wanting to ask you something. Now we go way back, right?
Oh,
we go way back. We Wrestling Inc. days,
Absolutely.
Chatted about all sorts of pro wrestling. We've been through the being a part of Wrestling Inc., not being a part of Wrestling Inc.
Guys, I'm in the room. Do you want me to leave? I feel like we've been cool, but
but Flobo over here.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I'm glad we get to chat. I'm glad we get to talk, because I got to ask you, what's your problem with AEW, Alfred? Why are you always going after Tony Khan? Why are you always going after AEW on your channel?
I'm not always doing anything outside of doing a good job. That's the only thing I'm always doing. It's funny because I completely understand that 100%, because I am a very vocal critic of anything that I don't like, let alone Tony Khan, let alone AEW or whatnot. And that will always travel further than everything else. I talk about AEW. I talk about what I like about it. I talk about what I don't like about it. It's just that what I don't like about it tends to be more hilarious because of the state that they tend to be in the last couple of years. I enjoy the AEW product like I do the WWE product, but I just find holes in it from time to time. I like the fact that they focus on professional wrestling more, and they like to be an alternative, but there have been a lot of problems with that, especially without even mentioning, especially because they pretty much book for an audience of one, which is interchangeable between Tony Khan and Dave Meltzer. And you're going to get the same types of wrestlers getting pushed. And there's a lot of sameness to it. And there's not a lot to AEW that I feel represents as a spark in the national wrestling landscape like it did when it first started. And I think a lot of that falls on Tony Khan and his lack of ability to tell a story. I mean, here's something that we can keep between ourselves. I'm a huge Mercedes Money stan. I've been on my channel fighting my own audience about this 12 belts reign for Mercedes Money, which I think is great. We are in the middle of Black history. This will be looked upon fondly. But Tony Khan is not telling a good story. He sucks at telling the story. Therefore, there's a lot of backlash against Mercedes for this title run, which I think is a shame. And I think it's going to be looked at historically as this Black woman was making history, but at the same time, they weren't able to communicate that. Therefore, the audience turned on her, or at least some of them did, because there's a lot of people in her corner as well.
You started that off by saying you liked AEW, but then tell me why you hated it. I'm a bit confused, sir.
No, I like AEW. Then I told you why I hated how Tony Khan books a lot of the product. Then I said I like Mercedes Moné. I like the 12 Birds brand. I like the fact that I'm witnessing history. I don't like the fact that AEW is not doing a good job conveying why these belts are important. All you have to do is copy the Infinity Stone storyline from Marvel, where each of the Infinity Stones had a story behind it. Why he needed it, what he had to do to get it. He had to kill his daughter to get one of them stones. So you felt invested emotionally to the story they're telling. I like the fact that Mercedes Moné has all these belts. I think it's super impressive that she's traveling from Winnipeg, Canada, back to St. Louis, over to Iceland to win all these belts. But AEW is doing a terrible job telling the story. And I just think, all in all, AEW caters to a very hardcore, very unhappy segment of the wrestling fan base, and that's why their product has struggled.
In corporate America, we all know about the compliment sandwich, where you start with a little compliment and then you give your critique and then you add a little compliment at the end. Alfred, you do it like inside out. You put
Chef
the hot dog
Alfie,
on the outside of the bun. You're like, I'm going to tear you down, give you a little compliment, and then tear you down a little bit more.
I'm like AEW's abusive father, okay?
Yeah, I see that.
Hey, at least you're in their life. I think that's the important part.
Exactly. A lot of fathers aren't in their kids' lives.
Right. So at least you're a part of the. But I agree with you about Mercedes. I feel like she gets a bad rap, especially on social media. When what she is doing, I agree with you. I think she is doing a lot of really good stuff. But I also agree, as Flobo rolls his eyes so hard, I think he's going to go blind.
I do
agree
for the listeners of the audio version.
That is, listen, if you're on the audio version, you are missing three handsome fellas. Hop on YouTube right now. But I do agree that I think that from a story standpoint, you could probably do a lot more with Mercedes. In fact, I feel a little bit like Mercedes is, and this is something Flobo said about Cody Rhodes at one point. Mercedes feels like she's a story, like a show within the show, a little bit on AEW, a bit like if you're watching SNL and then they do like Lonely Island or whatever the group is now. That
TV
is like,
Fun House with the cartoons.
Yeah. It's like it's a part of the show, but it's like its own thing. And I feel like AEW actually has a few things happening that are like that. That feels like it's its own show. Toni Storm is kind of the same way. It feels like she's sort of her own show within the show. And I do feel like AEW expects a lot of the heavy lifting. A lot of people would say that they need to do their own research or whatever, but I feel like AEW feels like, hey, she's walking out with championships. That's great, right? But your point, I think there is a lot more to it than just calling her Ultimo Moné, but to actually talk about what these championships are, why they're important, and what makes it such a big deal and so historic, instead of just, Excalibur going, she's won 12 championships. Yes, so I do got to give
Ultimo
you
Moné. 12 championships.
Well played.
Every single one's going to spin a wheel for defend one of the championships.
Yes, that's you do a good.
Well played.
Yeah,
there. I can't even get mad. He's right.
So let me ask you this, because this is so you like Mercedes. I want to try to find the common ground here, because I'm a big AEW fan as well. I don't think they're perfect. In fact, Flobo has received many a text from me with critiques about AEW while I've been watching it. But who are some of your favorite? Now, Mercedes obviously is someone you enjoy. I want to see, because I want to try to mend fences here, I know on Twitter people think that you're a hater. I think you look
good
like
for these people. I don't mind that at all in terms of how I'm perceived. It's just the quote unquote hate. I think this is one of the problems with AEW, and this is one thing I don't like about AEW. It's because people project this on the product itself. One of the biggest problems with AEW is their rotten fan base. And I don't think it represents everybody, but a lot of the people represented as the supporters of AEW take criticism so personally. I remember when there was only one wrestling company, it was WWE, and I would criticize them just as much, if not more, than I was putting them over. And yeah, people would push back, but there wasn't this personal, like, I hate you. You're trying to come for my whole dignity. There's so many people who tie their personality to a wrestling billionaire. It's actually quite sad. And that's what I don't like about AEW, is that whole zeitgeist of nerds and incels who tie their whole personality to Dave Meltzer and 5 stars and all that crap. That's one of the things that's my criticism, is a lot of the outside adjacent things toward AEW. But as far as the wrestlers, yeah, I can name a lot of wrestlers who I like in terms of AEW, and I could name the criticisms that I have for them, just like I do with WWE.
You know, you said something there, and I'm reminded of a quote from the great Milhouse of The Simpsons, who says, "I'm not a nerd. Nerds are smart."
Yeah, shots and incels, yo.
But this is kind of my take, and you deal with it a lot more than I do because I have a pretty sanitized timeline on social media. We'll say, like I said, usually my wrestling group chats get my less sanitized thoughts when I'm watching wrestling. But this is something I noticed, and let me know if I'm onto something here or if I'm totally nuts.
Sure.
There's a lot of people who they have their critiques of AEW or WWE, but we're talking about AEW in this case. But it goes with all of them. But there are certain people who you can tell are just sort of taking shots, being trolls, whatever. They're just trying to drum up some traction. I sometimes feel like there's bad faith takes, and then I feel like there's bad faith responses, and I feel like there's this sort of circle of people who are really just trying to drum up business or drum up engagement with each other that are really just like that. Like it's almost like fake politicians on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah,
where
that's exactly what
they're both kind of doing the same thing, but then they're both blaming the other side for being the ones that are crazy.
And guess what? I have no problem with any of it. Did we forget this is the internet? This is the radicalized screen at our home after people come off of work. Since when did we expect the internet? Okay, this is the Al Gore's internet we're talking about. We're talking about Beyonce's internet. When did we expect to sit down on the internet and everybody's so nice and everybody's got a fair take and everybody's got a good faith take? If you ask somebody what they think a good faith take is, it's a take that's closer to what they believe. If you ask them, what do you think a bad take is? It's a bad faith take. That's not what I believe. I don't believe in any of that good faith, bad faith. Of course it's going to be around, but I don't think about that at all. I learned from the anti-AEW people just as much as I learned from the anti-WWE people, because their criticism, even though they're going to criticize first, you're going to find valid praise and criticism for those products, whether it's good faith or not. I'm not going to sit here and be the judge of good or bad faith. Okay, I'm going to be the judge of what do I think makes sense and what do I think doesn't make sense, because everybody thinks they have a good faith take no matter what their perception is. So I don't mess around with that at all. I'm not one of these enjoy wrestling people who thinks that everything should be fair and all people's takes should be just perfectly sanitized. I have no problem with anybody who is on either side of the spectrum, because to be president of these United States, the first thing you have to do, roll with me here. I'm
trying. I'm
trying. Careful.
Okay? I'm landing the train. I'm landing the train and the plane.
You're landing the train.
I'm landing the train and the plane. Okay. The FAA is under, shutdown right now. So the train too.
One rogue guy.
So let's land this plane here. To be president of Beyonce's United States, you know the first things you have to do is? What set do you claim? You can't say, oh, I want to be president, but I enjoy all politics. No, Donald. What set do you claim? Like, you have to choose whose side are you on. Do you believe in killing babies or not? Or do you believe in abortion? Like, what do you believe? And you have to say that. So if we have those standards for our politicians, why the hell are we getting so bent out of shape over people getting tribal about friggin' wrestling? Can I cuss on this podcast?
Well, you said killing babies, so I don't know. What? Of all the issues.
This isn't like a good baby killing.
By the way, I will be a lifetime supporter of anyone who asks Trump what set he represents.
The best set ever.
All the sets. I think they're wonderful sets. I'm still working on Trump.
I love this. Well, I'm glad you. It's fun to chat with you about this kind of stuff. I do want to say your videos, regardless of people like whether they agree, disagree, you do a fantastic job of editing them and putting them together and making them highly entertaining. Is that all you, or do you have a team that you work with? Because trust me, if I make something good like that, it's the team.
Well, yeah, it's both, but it's definitely a team, especially when it comes to the longer form videos. Those are going to be the team in terms of like one-on-one and how they have an understanding of how I used to edit, and they've just taken it to another level. They're so good. I think they do such a great job. So it's a couple of people who I'll send, and I'm able to get videos out quicker by having people edit it like that. But when I'm doing shorts, that's really just me editing. I edit all the shorts in terms of the original shorts, because usually it's some news broke. And if I wait, it's not going to be topical or whatever. So I'll just kind of edit it. And I really like editing shorts because it's a lot like when you take a tiny screwdriver or not that I had this hobby, but people have that hobby of the boats and they put the boat in the bottle. And that's what shorts editing is like. It's just really precise form of editing. Team Shots the team. They do a great job.
I feel very similar to that. Like I love that feeling of like if I have to replace the battery in a watch where like it's the same thing. There's zero skill attached to it, but because you have the little screwdrivers, you're like, oh man, I'm like an old clockmaker. I feel so there's zero. It's literally just like one screw, and then you put it in a battery and then put the screw back because it's literally like, yes, I'm Geppetto building it.
You guys are all old.
Flobo, you have a boat in a bottle somewhere, don't you?
I actually do. When I was a kid, I was Benjamin Buttoning. When I was a kid, I was into stamps. I was into boats and bottles and boats. It was the most old man stuff. I have the Pinta, one of the Columbus ships. So I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I do own one of those.
And now you've grown up and you're into K-pop Demon Hunter. And
hey man, I already paid for Netflix. It came up. All right, don't be judging me, bro. I press play.
Just because I bought the album doesn't mean I'm really into it.
Golden. That's my jam, bro.
Well, I enjoyed chatting about AEW with you, but that at this point, Dynamite was a week ago. So kind of hard to get too deep into what was going on there. I want to talk a little bit about some of the news that's been going on around WWE, because WWE, I feel like in general, I feel like wrestling's been a little, as people have been saying online, it's ruthless depression era. I feel like wrestling's not been quite as fun lately. But I think that this week, Raw and NXT were actually two very fun programs to watch. I really enjoyed Raw last night. We didn't chat before this, so hopefully you watched a little bit of Raw.
I absolutely did.
Okay, that's what I'm about to say. Because I'm about to jump in. Jump in here. I want to talk about John Cena first and foremost, because we haven't had a chance to talk since John Cena has announced his retirement. What has been your take on the John Cena retirement tour in general? Did you like that they tried to have him be a heel? Do you think that they messed it up? Like, as we're getting to the end here, what's been your take on John Cena?
I absolutely loved the heel turn, and I love the fact that it happened. That this is always going to be one of those where were you when. And I got to see what really is, it's right up there with Hulk Hogan in terms of the level of babyface John Cena was when he turned heel. And I got to see both of those. And those are lifetime type moments, So I'm glad that I was part of that history. And I thought they pulled it off great when he initially turned heel. The problem was the follow-up, which I thought was very bad. And I think it really bottomed out at WrestleMania. In the main event of WrestleMania, you always know I've been to enough WrestleManias to know that you always know leaving the building immediately, whether or not this was a good or bad WrestleMania in terms of how it's going to be remembered. Night one, fantastic. One of the greatest triple threat matches I've ever seen. Left on a high. Night two, there was just this kind of like, when I'm just thinking like this John Cena heel turn, if this is the beginning in terms of him being champion, I don't know, man. And I just always had that feeling throughout. And I don't think they did a good job with John Cena. They had the talent to do it. Say what you will about Triple H. He's a great storyteller. He is a good booker in terms of pulling this off. It just wasn't in the cards. They didn't do the right things at the right time. The Rock disappeared, right? A lot of people would blame The Rock, and I think The Rock does deserve a little share of the blame. The fact that John Cena didn't want to change his character, I thought was a good psychological tool. Like, I'm not going to give you people a different John Cena, but at the same time, looking back at it, I think that's what it needed. He needed to be a different character. Otherwise, this just felt like John Cena playing John Cena.
Yeah.
I'm having a bad day.
Yeah.
I'm grumpy. All right, John.
I always go back to, I agree with you. I think when they did it, I was like, this is intriguing because it's different than anything we've ever seen before. But I do remember saying, and I do feel this way, if we had 2 years of John Cena, I think the heel run would have hit a little different. But because we knew it was the end, I've always used the analogy, if you watch a band go on a retirement tour, you want to see him play the hits. You don't want to see him play stuff from the new album. And so seeing him have his last match with Randy Orton, for instance, not being the John Cena that we all know and love, felt a little bit like, no, I want to see the John Cena I know and love if this is the last time I'm getting it, not this new version. Flobo, you're shaking your head. What's wrong with you?
Because I'm with this is nasty. I love saying that. I like the heel turn, and because I remember when was it Cena and Orton went 19 times at pay-per-view main events where people were like, I never want to see these guys again. So to me, it was like a cool remix. Now I get it. When he started counting down, he had like 11 days left, or 12 days left. Switch it back. I understand because it did kind of win weird because The Rock did disappear, so we don't know why Cena turned. But him doing the heel run was a perfect thing. Like, hey, for those of you who grew up wanting to see it, here's what it would look like in an alternate universe. And let's get back to the show.
Right. So now we're here to the end of the road. We've only got a few more dates left. I think one more Raw, and then Survivor Series, and then Saturday Night's main event. We're doing a tournament to figure out who the last person he's going to face is.
Are we? Like, who's in it? Who's in it? There's all surprises. There's no bracket graphic.
Surprise bracket.
I'm lost.
You know, Alfred, I had this bit for a long time. I can't remember if we did it on the show or if this was in my mystery texts, but where I kept saying WWE's copying AEW for everything. Like now they have 1 million championships. Now they're doing tournaments for everything, and now they're doing tournaments without actually listing who's in it. This feels very AEW. Alfred.
That is a very AEW thing to do in terms of not showing the bracket. But I get, at least from the standpoint of the first round, because eventually they have to, and I think they know they're going to show a bracket. But this tournament is, in and of itself, they're trying to make it into a big deal. And to do that, I feel like they do have surprises. And instead of just showing it on the screen as, oh, wait, really? Gunther's coming? Even though they announced him, there is a couple of surprises, presumably from outside of the company, who are going to arrive. So I would rather, and again, you could just ask, why wouldn't they just show the bracket and put surprise or whatever? But I think they just want the rollout to be a big deal, to where every time they're announcing a match, you see the pomp and circumstances of the John Cena tournament. And I have no doubt in my mind they're going to show the bracket, so I'm not really tripping on that. I do like the idea that you never know who's going to be in. But at some point, yes, they need to show the bracket, but that'll happen.
I worry. I think they're slowly not showing the whole bracket because, of course, all the rumors are that Gunther's going to win it and going to be the final guy to face John Cena. And I think if they showed the whole bracket, we would go, oh, Gunther's going to win it. And something that wrestling fans have shown us, at least WWE fans have shown us over the years, is if we know where you're going, we hate it. You like if it's very clear, unless it's someone we super love, like the world loves CM Punk. So if CM Punk is very clearly going to do something great, we love it. I think Cody Rhodes is kind of 50-50 with that. Or Roman Reigns is something like, if he's going to do great, we love it. But like, if you tell us someone like Roman Reigns before the bloodline, oh, Roman Reigns is going to be the champion at WrestleMania. Boo! You know, you don't want to feel like we know who WWE is picking. And so I think if you showed the bracket and saw people like Shinsuke Nakamura, who hasn't had a winning feud in as long as I can remember in the bracket, you'd go, oh yeah, Gunther's going to win this whole thing. And he probably will, but I think that's one of the reasons they're kind of hiding it and keeping it a little bit of secret. Do you have, who do you want to see win this? Obviously we don't know who's in it all the way, Alfred, but do you have a pick of who you'd like to see?
Obafemi.
Oh, I'd love to see Obafemi.
I would love. I know it's
Obafemi's
not
the
gonna
man.
be the answer, but I would love to see. And I think John Cena would tell you that he'd love to see an Obafemi type in terms of up and coming. You put the rocket on them immediately, and then there's a payoff. I think Gunther is such an uninspiring choice. I don't think there's a big leap in terms of where he's going to go by beating John Cena. He's a made man in WWE already. You gave him the long Intercontinental title streak. You gave him the world title a couple of times. You gave him the Goldberg win. Like, can somebody else have this? Can Obafemi have this? It does change the fact that John Cena is Intercontinental champion, but I think that'd be even better because not only has it already leveled up the IC title that you're going to become IC champion if you beat John Cena, but I mean, you're already then winning the secondary title, and it's being treated seriously. Now, I don't know if John Cena is going to lose that match, but the showcase in and of itself, if it's a babyface, I think it should be Obafemi.
Obafemi, and we're going to talk about NXT in a second here, but it's funny. I've seen people online talk about how the age of the average WWE superstar is getting pretty old right now. But I look at NXT, and there are so many people right now who I can just say like, oh, they are Grand Slam dunk to mix metaphor, slam dunk, grand slam, touchdown, home runs, people coming up. And we'll talk about them in a second. But Flobo, now I want to hear, now that Cena is the Intercontinental Champion, man, Sheamus, though, he has quite a story if he was the one to make it all the way through.
That'd be great.
The cool thing about the tournament now, and I know everyone has their favorites, is that everyone that's been announced so far has a reason to be in there. Maybe except for Rusev, like a Damian Priest. I don't know.
He had a history with.
He does.
He does, but like that's what I didn't want to see. That's the one I didn't want to see. But you look at Javon Evans, that's the one I picked a month ago to be in there. Sheamus, I'm a big Sheamus guy. Mrs. Promo on SmackDown Friday was like, yeah, you're right. There shouldn't be a tournament. I'm the Miz. Like, I beat him at me. Like, that to me was like so cool. So, like, I know you put yourself in a corner storyline-wise because Cena's not going to extend his dates. So, even though a tournament sounds pretty desperate, I think it's actually the best possible result now. So, I'm happy either way. I
do have and we're going to talk about Javon Evans in a second, too, because, man, he's got a future. Before we get to that, I want to talk about War Games a little bit. War Games. Are you Alfred, are you a fan of War Games? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I go way back in terms of when they did it at Fall Brawl. So I'm a 90s kid, so WCW would do it at Fall Brawl. I know there's a War Games era before that even. I'd see some of those old 80s War Games matches with stunning Steve Austin and Barry Windham and stuff like that. So I do like the War Games match. The newer version's fine because I feel like these days it's forced in terms of we got to do War Games. Let's just create a group warfare. Whereas I would like the natural storytelling that requires you to have a War Games. It was like that back in the day too, because Fall Brawl was War Games, so they had to have a makeshift storyline. But it's fine. It's fine.
It's so weird how easily Triple H looks at something like Hell in a Cell and goes, oh yeah, that's not something we do once a year. We only do that in the right moment. But then War Games like, oh, but we got to do that every year.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
It's like, wait, why don't you just do Survivor Series matches and do the War Games when it feels like it makes sense? Because it is War Games, I feel like is worse than Hell in a Cell in that regard. Because you got to get groups of people to come together to make that work, as opposed to just saying these two are going to have a match. And you can feel kind of the force like, oh, we're all friends suddenly for some reason in this situation. I don't know how many people are going to be on each team. Sometimes they do 4, sometimes they do 5. But it looks like for the men's, it's Punk, Rhodes, and Jey Uso, mystery partner, versus Logan Paul, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, mystery partner. I'm trying to figure out who these mystery partners are, but I feel like Logan Paul, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed are going to need like a Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, that's what's going
to match up to the other ones.
And the other one's going to be Roman Reigns. And I've been hearing Austin Theory's name floating around, so they might do a 5-on-5. The Garden is going to tell us a lot about how those teams are constructed. I will say this, though. We were talking about, and I do feel strongly about the idea of WWE having War Games once a year and forcing. They've done a good job in the last few years leading into War Games because they've been telling that bloodline story. So they've had like a stable based main event. So when the bloodline was hot, they did a great job with that. And I think they even did a better job telling the story of Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns having to work together. That was really well done when they were in that Georgia stadium and they had to come back together. So that was good. I feel like this year, more than most years, it feels forced.
Yes, I agree. And Flobo, I want to get your take on these teams because I'm looking at these teams and I know everyone says Logan Paul's a star. Everyone says Braun Breaker's the future. Bronson Reed's been tsunamiing people. But I'm looking at the good guy team, and they're all former world champions, and there ain't a single world champion on the bad guys team. How do you level this out so it doesn't feel like the bad guys are the underdogs? Because right now, on paper, the bad guys look like they'll get flattened.
Yeah, but they've leveled that out by having Jay get his ass kicked for 6 months and CM Punk get his ass beat for 6 months.
He just won the title. What do you mean?
He just won the title by a matter of circumstance. The guy was injured by beating Jey Uso, his teammate.
It's always a matter of circumstance.
Oh, come on, man. Like, I don't... Look, my problem with the division is I don't know what the hell they want. And with these guys, the name recognition is there. So you want division to get beaten, which probably gives division the advantage because they will be just annoying to dispatch. So I'm not that concerned. But to say your point, yeah, it does feel, you know how I feel about Survivor Series as a PLE in general, that this whole idea is like, well, we got to do something cool because you can't let his nameplate die if you can't go to Saudi Arabia. So let's have this and graft these two things. So I'm not excited about the actual match, but I don't think it needs any more stakes at the time. But who's that fourth person going to be? I couldn't tell you.
You know, Alfred, I look at these, and the women's team looks like it's pretty full. Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, Io Sky, Rhea Ripley versus Asuka, Kairi Sane, Naomi, Jax, and Lash Legend. Lash Legend, by the way, who's someone I picked a long time ago as a rising star.
Love me some Lash.
He did.
I think she's incredible. I think she's going to have a very bright future. It's weird because these teams, though, Alfred, feel even more forced together and kind of random. But I just look at this, I feel like the women's war game is going to be better than the men's war games when I look at it for some reason. What's your take?
They've been doing a good job building up that women's war games because I will admit that it does seem forced when you hear the names. But in terms of watching the TV and seeing how they've gotten Lash Legend together with Nia Jax, I think you killed a lot of birds with that stone of making them a tandem and then they team up with the other women. I think it's a lot smoother with how the women have been booking that. And I'm very excited for Lash because she looked excellent in both of her Raw and SmackDown debuts in terms of since being called up. And she looks the part. She doesn't look like she's green or is like the lights are too bright or anything like that. She looked like an absolute monster killing Io Sky with that forearm. And I just think she's set up in a great position and she's going to have some showcase moments in this war game. So I think I'm very much looking forward to both. But I think the women's is, to your point, going to be better.
Yeah, Lash Legend. I think Lash Legend has such star potential because she also, not only does she like seem cool, she's good on a microphone, she's got all that stuff, but she also looks like she could take your head off, believably as well. So, and she looks like someone who can actually throw you around as opposed to, I mean, like Jade Cargill looks like she could throw you around, but like she looks like a bodybuilder where Lash Legend looks like she's just actually a strong person, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I definitely makes sense.
So a big fan of Lash Legend. I want to say talk one more thing about SmackDown before getting into NXT, because I thought this was a great NXT today, and NXT's been doing some good stuff lately. Some stuff I want to complain about too. But first, I just want to talk about Chelsea Green becoming the U.S. champion, beating Giulia in 97 seconds. Now, this got people on Twitter all up in a huff and a puff. What are your thoughts about Chelsea Green in 97 seconds dethroning the longest reigning U.S. champion?
I think that's kind of wild, but I'm happy for Chelsea Green. I'm happy that she won the title. Wrestling's not real, so I don't care if she beat a Stardom wrestler in 97 seconds. I was just happy to see Chelsea Green win that belt. It was a moment. It was a happening. WWE needs more moments like that because all this talk of the Ruthless Depression, it's really people being spoiled if you're going to boil it down. Like what happened is we got the greatest product we've ever seen. WrestleMania 40 was the ending to literally the greatest WrestleMania main event I've ever seen. So to go from that to like, okay, the product's okay, feels like a much more precipitous decline. But one of the problems WWE has had is there's a lot of sameness. You know who's going to win the title matches. You know who's going to successfully defend in this, that, and the other. So this was a good thing to have a legitimate surprise. It's good to have that every once in a while. And oh, by the way, Chelsea Green was such a great U.S. champion. I like Giulia and her work rate, and I know the internet makes you obligated to like her. She didn't get over. She was like, nobody cared about Giulia. That's partly the fault of creative, but that character was not getting over. They gave her Kiana James. The thing didn't get over. So it's time to land the plane or the train and try to retool it a little bit, but let Chelsea cook. Chelsea Green was an amazing U.S. top champion when she had the belt, and I feel like they just gave it to Giulia because they thought that they could use it as a prop to make people care about Giulia. But no, like Chelsea Green is great with both of those belts.
I have to agree with you. I feel like Chelsea Green is built for the U.S. championship and everything she's done. It just feels perfect. She is one of the most entertaining people in pro wrestling right now, top to bottom, full stop. Flobo, I see you bob your head side to side. I think you disagree, so I'm going to call you out on that. But first, I got to say, too, with Giulia, I think that this is again where I make the joke about this is a very AEW thing. It felt like with Giulia, it was a little bit to your point. Like they said, hey, she was a big star in Stardom, so here you go. And they didn't really
right.
Like, I don't really know anything else about her other than like, oh yeah, she's a big star in Stardom. You should care about her. And that's a very AEW approach to a lot of wrestlers. And I can see why it didn't work here. Cause I think that we talk about, again, ruthless depression. Chelsea Green is exactly what we need in an era where it feels like we need a little bit more fun, I think. Flobo, what's your take? You're bobbing your head side to side. You look disapproving.
I don't. That's why I'm like, why are you calling me out if I agree with you? I don't hate Giulia, but I do think that her character, if you were going to tell that, was more fighting spirit, which doesn't necessarily work anymore. Like, remember when Shinsuke Nakamura was like an evil samurai for 2 weeks, and they're like, nah, just kidding. And they went back. It's kind of like one of those things. Like, I'm not sure where their character's supposed to be, but Chelsea Green and Ethan Page, I mean, they're really a hot act. They have the chemistry. I was saying this in our group chat, which is a group chat of 2 people, so our text chain, about the idea of the Forbidden Door, or the WWE corporate sanctioned Forbidden Door, of having these 2 people go to NXT and AAA and coming back around. So that's way more valuable for the business. So I think this was really more about Chelsea Green and Ethan Page, less than it was about Giulia, but her not having the championship and her losing that quickly. Because I give everyone 3-segment matches nowadays. Why she didn't get a 3-segment match and defeat is what people are upset about. And that, to me, is a little unfair. She could have lost a match, no problem, but didn't have to be a minute and a half.
Well, we don't know what was going on backstage that made him decide that. But at the end of the day,
don't do that. Oh, well, be careful. It's hard for us to determine. Come on, Jack. That was messed up. Your U.S. champion look, I can't compare this to Kofi Mania because it's a whole different thing, right? But Kofi
you can't compare this.
But I'm saying Kofi losing in 8 seconds was like the salt in the wound to how that title reign ended. You're Giulia. You're telling me she's so good. She has a manager that books her matches for her, and she gets beat, and the crowd doesn't even care. They're just like, yeah. Chelsea. That to me was like an extra insult on top of what actually happened.
Well, I think that's the exact reason why they did it. Is because the crowd didn't care. Like, if the crowd cared, then I'd say, oh, they messed up. But like, I think the fact that the crowd didn't care is proof that
she should have lost a match. Not that quick. I'm just saying why people are upset. I'm not trying to defend Giulia necessarily because I do think her character is flat. But again, I think that's what the outrage started off of. The whole fumbling thing didn't come from like a roll up and oops. It was like she got slaughtered, man. That was pretty much up. Next segment.
Well, I want to talk about NXT because I feel like we're going to have a lot of common ground here on NXT, and I think there's a lot of interesting things happening on NXT. We talk about Ethan Page and Chelsea Green, and Alfred, I want your take on Ethan Page because, man, this is a guy who I was a fan of his from a distance when he was in TNA. I really became a fan of his in AEW, and then now in NXT, ever since, especially, he was standing toe-to-toe with The Rock backstage and did not look like he was out of his league. I'm thinking this guy should be on the main roster, ready to go, and this pairing with Chelsea Green just screams dollar signs to me. What's your take on Ethan Page?
I think he's an amazing wrestler. I felt like when he was in AEW, it was like one of those situations, kind of like what the Carolina Panthers have, where they've got 2 very good running backs. They've got Rico Dowdle and Chibba Hubbard, and either of them could start for any other team, but one of them is going to get buried to some degree. Ethan Page had that problem because MJF was already on the roster, and Ethan Page had a lot of those vibes, that kind of preppy, shit-eating grin type, those boxes that MJF checks, Ethan Page checks as well. And I'm saying that as a compliment in terms of how well they do it. But you don't need 2 MJFs. So Ethan Page going to WWE NXT when he did was another moment of great timing, just like Cody Rhodes when he left, just like Swerve when he went to the other side. And I feel like we're getting the fruits of that timing. This wrestling war, in terms of the free agent aspect, it all comes down to timing, where you go, when you go there, and what spot you're likely to fill. So we're seeing a lot of them work when the time is right, but then sometimes you go somewhere and nobody cares because maybe there is no space for you or something like that. We're seeing the differences between a Swerve and a Rusev or a Cody Rhodes and Keith Lee, unfortunately. We see this, but this is good timing with Ethan Page, and I think he's made the most of it. And I think he's going to be a future world champion sooner than you think in terms of the main roster.
Yeah, I always say the characters, and maybe this is going back to the Giulia thing a little bit, but those characters like an Ethan Page, like a Chelsea Green, where you can lose and not really lose anything, that is the most valuable asset you can have in pro wrestling. To be someone who, like, Ethan Page could lose 5 times in a row and he'll still be just as entertaining on the 6th match as he was on the first one. Now eventually you get Dolph Ziggler and it's like, okay, well, this guy's never going to win no matter how exciting it is, because Dolph Ziggler was great, but he lost all the time. But yeah, that's when he makes that jump, because that's my fear with people like Obafemi, is when you make the jump, are you still going to be dominant? Probably not. Can you still be entertaining when you're no longer that person that is winning all the time? And I think Ethan Page can spend a year or two eating losses, get through it until it's his turn to get the push. And man, to your point about timing, I feel like right now is got to be the most stressful time to be a free agent in pro wrestling. Like, if you're someone whose contract is up and you've got both companies like knocking on your door, like, it's got to be tough, because it could be the difference between becoming the next big superstar and getting buried in catering, and you have no idea which one's the right one.
Exactly.
Flobo, what's your take on Ethan Page and Chelsea Green? You're a big fan of Ethan Page.
Ethan Page is the best performer in the NXT brand right now. And I say that because he was a former champion and I was okay with that. I was rocking with that. But NXT for up until very recently it was just like a giant mess. It was, and I'm not even saying the whole Forbidden Door stuff. It was like, I didn't know who was to be feared. I didn't know who I should care about. There were so many new players. There's so many guys that were kind of in the back hacking around. Like, well, Brooks Jensen is on Evolve now, but like, you'll see like Lexus King and I go, should I care about you still? Like, I didn't know at all. But so when he became North American champion, as the greatest North American, there really was an anchor put on that 9:00 main event. And that's something you need to build around and really start over what they were doing. So it was a soft reset around Ethan Page. And I mean, his merch actually sucks, but if it was dope, I would buy it because he's just so good. And Chelsea Green, man, the whole like American, best American, but I'm really Canadian thing, that stuff prints money no matter where you go. And the fact it works in AAA as like a American version of a lucha, or a North American version of a luchador gimmick, that kind of over flamboyant stuff, it's money.
Alfred, I need you to settle something for us.
Let's go.
I don't think Flobo needs to say AAA. I think he can say AAA. WWE, the wrestlers on WWE say AAA. Should Flobo just start calling it AAA?
Triple mania, bro. Duolingo says, I
like AAA. We have to have some differences in terms of how it's pronounced, and that is one of the ways to pronounce it. I have no problem with it.
Yeah. How do you say it? If you were out in the street,
I do say AAA, just because I say it. I didn't grow up. I did watch AAA, a lot of AAA growing up on public access, but if you watch AAA and you're in Mexico, I feel like you're more likely to say AAA, whereas like AAA was called AAA in the States.
Yeah. I feel like it's when, I don't know, I feel like it's when someone like rolls their R's especially hard when they say someone's name, and you're like, okay, we get it. Flobo. What? Okay, we get
AAA is like a whole car thing to me. I don't know.
It's like if you ask somebody, how you doing? I'm doing good. How are you doing? They go, I'm doing well.
Right.
Yeah. Any person who drops a salutation to get their ass beat. Sorry, people. I don't mean you. You got to pass. But everyone else who says salutations,
I'm doing grammatically better than you.
I clearly read more books than you do. But I do want to say, it's funny, Flobo hit on something, and it was certain people being backstage at NXT all the time, or being in catering. You're kind of wondering, should I care about this person? Another thing that WWE feels like they've copied AEW on a little bit is this Forbidden Door situation, and something that AEW gets a lot of garbage about, and I agree with it. Too many championships, too many people from different companies and things. But today on NXT, we've got the men's NXT championship, women's NXT championship, men's North American, women's North American, the tag team championships, the men's speed championship, the women's speed championship. Somewhere out there is the heritage championship rolling around. Plus, on this episode, we got builds to the TNA Knockouts title, the men's Evolve championship, the women's Evolve championship, the AAA mixed tag, and on the show is the TNA X Division champion and the SmackDown US champion, women's US champion. is NXT going down the wrong path that AEW once did? And like, guys, pump the brakes on championships and pump the brakes on all these people from other companies showing up on NXT.
Yeah, I think NXT is the example of what you don't want in terms of all those belts happening, because I don't have a problem. The people counting the belts in WWE in terms of the main roster, if you look at each show and you follow them individually, it's really each show has a men's champion, world champion, a men's mid-card champion, and tag team champion. And then the women's has that too. And it doesn't feel like overkill at all because it's particular to that brand. So I'm fine with that being separate. But NXT, even though these shows do have TV deals and you can follow their storyline and stuff like that, it's just too many cooks in the kitchen to have all these belts, especially because they're even having the AAA mixed tag team titles featured on NXT. Triple A. Well, you know, I was going to leave that. I don't want to take Flobo's gimmick, but
is that a gimmick? It's an actual language. That's how you pronounce it.
Triple A.
Flobo and his weird gimmick he does.
Yeah, that weird Hispanic thing that you do. There's definitely, because the thing is, I know why the belts are there for NXT, and they talk about very clearly, oh, this is this company's or that, but there is a limit to that. At most, I would argue that the limit is one company, maybe two. They tried doing that invasion angle in WWE, which was cool to see the WCW belts on WWE TV. Then they brought ECW into it, and it became a mess. Yeah. So, not that they're doing an invasion, but like the more you show belts, that's my problem with AEW pay-per-views. They got like 16 matches. Everybody's got a belt. You don't know who to care for and why, and you don't know when another belt is going to come along. And so it's just like, if you have all these belts descending upon one show and you have to cover them all for one brand, that's when it becomes a problem.
Fellas, and with all due respect, this is an unfair week to ask because it's building for, guess what?
Of course.
Rush. Like, you can't be like, there's too many championships. Next week, no titles. That's the whole point, Jack. And don't say no, because that's what it is. All these people got bills for the Gold Rush 2-week event.
I call shenanigans because
it's a gimmick too. Is me having logic a gimmick? I hate this
because when AEW is building towards Forbidden Door, by the way, I don't like when AEW does it either. I'm not picking a side, but when AEW builds to Forbidden Door, all these exact same complaints come up.
From where?
And
who's watching AEW?
All these people have been on. Like the Evolve Champion's been on NXT many times.
I do not disagree.
The TNA championships have been on NXT many times. It's not like it's just this week.
I don't disagree with the fact that maybe there's too many titles in play. But you're saying this week you're counting so many different fingers and promotions. I'm like, yeah, if there's any week they're going to go hard on showing random ass pieces of gold and silver, it's this one.
But they do it every week, is what I'm saying.
But I don't think it's that many every week, personally. Because the Evolve title is going to be feature NXT. So is all these other championships. You're not going to see Evolve hanging out every single week.
Literally, the Evolve Women's Champion is working with Ren Sinclair to build the Ren QCC. Let's see.
Better tournament.
Yeah. In any case, that's my big gripe. But I want to I just want to gush a little bit about some of the people in NXT right now, because we talked about Obafemi. We haven't talked about Trick Williams, but Trick Williams is in this category as well. But Javon Evans, Javon Evans, I feel like we say a future star, we say future, main eventer, whatever. He's so young. It's hard to say what his future is, but I look at him and I think when we talk about generational talent, like MJF, I feel like Javon Evans could literally change the industry by the time he's all said and done, and the way people interact with the industry and the way a generation watches. I think he could be like his ceiling. I don't know if there is a ceiling. I've never seen someone where I look at this individual and I go, their future is so bright. I can't even predict how far it could go.
Well, let me say what needs to be said. I think Javon Evans will bring a new generation into NXT. It'll be the YN generation. He's going to bring a whole new audience of YNs who watch professional wrestling because of Javon Evans. And I think that is amazing. I think that's something, and you Google what YNs is. You either know what it is or don't. But he's
tell Jack. Let Jack say.
I think I figured it out.
You can probably go ahead. What's it mean, Jack? Tell us. What's your gimmick?
No, I love it. I absolutely love it. This is what I love about Javon Evans, because all these people are going to say, "Oh, the work rate in the cage match." Fuck all that. I don't care about that. I know Javon Evans is one of the best wrestlers in the world, but what I care about and how I know he's going to get over is because he's just got that it factor. He's got that thing that I think people are going to stand for him. They're going to want to buy his merchandise. He's very easy to market in terms of just this natural charisma he has, in terms of being able to just say a line and it's a Javon delivery that makes it seem cool. So I love Javon Evans. I think he's going to bring in a new dynamic and a cooler audience, thank God. And, you know, it's so funny because all these people, there was this one time where he had gotten into a Twitter feud with that stooge Ricochet. And then he called Tony Khan a crackhead, which is love at first sight. You know, it was awesome. And all these people, everybody's like, oh.
Wait, you just said we spent the first half of the show saying you're not a hater. And
no,
now you're like, I
love a good joke and I love a good roast. And I think it's hilarious that Javon called Tony Khan a crackhead. I thought that was funny. And so people were
Tony Khan could afford Coke. Come on, man. He has money. Like, I can't be a crack budget and own a company.
You get more of it. You can get more of it.
Like, I
can afford cocaine.
I can get more crack.
Good cocaine.
The finest.
I just think it was funny that when that was going on and Javon called Tony Khan what he called him, people said that Javon was burning his bridge. And it's like, if you watch any bit of wrestling, there's no such thing as burning your bridge in this business at all. And if and when Javon Evans gets to the point where I think he'll get, where he's an undeniable superstar, if he's a free agent, you better believe AEW, unless they're as dumb as I think they are, you better believe AEW is going to be making a bid on Javon Evans, whether he called Tony Khan a crackhead or not.
I think, and if that was a opportunity for them, they should. Like I said, because I agree with you. Like so when I first saw Javon Evans, I was like, I hate this guy, and the reason and I'm gonna tell you why, because he made me feel like an old man. It was one of the first wrestlers I watched where I was like, this guy's too young for me. I don't understand. I felt like the old guy that listens to a record with a big horn, you know, that comes out of it, like, and he's playing cool new music.
Jack?
I'm like, I feel like I was listening to a gramophone, and he comes out playing some cool new music, whatever. I'm like, I don't understand this. I'm too old for this. But because he is so charismatic, eventually, like, okay, I get it. The wrestling is great. The guy he has this skill, Alfred. I don't know if you've noticed this. This is something that I notice things that other people don't notice in wrestling. This is my skill. Like, there's certain things that some people don't talk about work rate and whatever. I noticed if you watch Javon Evans, he is like the same height as everybody he's in the ring with. If he's in the ring with someone small, you're like, oh, Javon Evans is a small, quick guy. That makes sense. And then he gets in the ring with Oba Femi. He's like, oh, he's almost the size of Oba Femi.
Tall guy.
Yeah. Like, I swear, you could put him in the ring with anyone. Like, he's not really that much different in height than this person.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it. I don't know, but like, it's weird to me. There was a scene where it's like he was in the ring with like Leon Slater and Moose at the same time, and somehow he looked like he was the same height as both of them. I don't know how he did it, but I was like, this guy's the same size. So once he gets to the main roster, if he does have to face guys like a Randy Orton or whoever the biggest person around is, if he gets in the ring with Omos, he'll be the same size as Omos. I just know he will somehow. But yeah, I'm watching this guy's like, this guy's the future. He is. Everyone says they're the future. Everyone says that they're generational. Everyone said, like, but man, something about this guy. I was calling him a kid. He's 20. He's 21 years old, Alfred.
Yeah.
It's illegal for someone to be the successful at 21 years old.
Yeah, I think he's going all the way. I mean this only is a good way, because I know this person didn't really pan out in terms of their personal life, but he's like the John Jones of wrestling in terms of how I felt about John Jones, watching him fight for, like, this guy is a man amongst boys. I don't think anybody can beat all the things that John Jones brings to an octagon. I thought about that his third or fourth fight in. And Javon, I have those same types of vibes. Like, man, when this guy puts it all together, it's over.
And to your point about work rate, like his matches are great.
They're amazing. And the amazing matches. Again, the thing that separates you as a superstar, and the thing that always impresses me when I'm ready to crown somebody as great is beyond work rate. There's a lot of people who know how to wrestle and grab a hold. Can you make me care? Whether you're trying to or not. Do you have the stage? And that's what I think that is, Jack. I think to your point, in terms of Javon looking the same size as everybody, I think a lot of that stage presence in terms of him taking up the ring and just kind of melding into a situation. I think that's the stage presence that you can't see.
Yeah, and he has the ability to freeze time in the air. Somehow he'll get in the air. I don't know what he does. He just like stops in the air for a second, hangs out, and then he'll hit like the cutter or something. Like, what the heck? How does that even mathematically make sense? That doesn't work. But he's able to do that. Yeah. And again, Trick, I think, is someone who's going to be a huge star as well. Yeah. In fact, I think almost one of my frustrations with NXT right now is I see Javon and Trick and Oba, and they all feel like they're so ready for the main roster. I'm kind of just like, okay, call them. What do we? I feel like they're in their fifth year, their fifth senior year or whatever you call it, where I'm like, okay, we're ready. Yeah, now, I do want to be careful because sometimes people get called up too soon, but at the same time, like,
but I agree with you, Jack. It speaks to a bigger problem, the WWE ecosystem. And I think it might be a problem they're trying to solve. Like, yes, there's all these belts on NXT and companies, and it's happening on NXT because it gives them a chance to start feuds and go to other territories. But I think the long game for WWE, and maybe they're already doing this, it should be to establish and evolve and the TNA and the AAA as actual territories that a good segment of American fans will watch, so that you can see NXT talent going to these territories before they come to WWE, because just going to one place and being in a logjam just isn't it. And it'll make you very antsy in terms of wanting to get out of WWE.
Yeah. I have one last thing I want to chat to you about. And this is something I had to confess to myself today. There's certain times in pro wrestling you like don't want to like something, or like the internet tells you you're not supposed to like something, or it's not cool or whatever. But I just come out and just admit it and just embrace it. I love speed matches. I love the speed matches. I mean, I was like this. I watched like 3 minutes. Fantastic. I'm going to see a whole match. It's going to be 3 minutes. Now, famously, I hate movies over 2 hours. I hate, speaking of AEW, I hate pay-per-views over 3 hours. Ooh, don't get me started.
Bang for your buck, guys.
But no. There's no bang for your buck. I just want my attention span is always so long. Alfred, how do you feel about the speed matches? Because I know a lot of people on the internet, it's not real wrestling. The work rate's not great. Whatever,
oh no, it's great.
I love them.
I love them. I absolutely love speed matches because you're not going to sit there forever watching a match, knowing at the end of a time limit. It's funny because the Iron Man match and execution, I really like it. It never feels like I'm watching a real sport when I'm watching wrestling more than an Iron Man match, because they're like scoring the pinfalls, but it's an hour match and it's like, you're going to be trapped for an hour. With these speed matches, it's the opposite, where I know it's not going to be further than 3 minutes, and they're doing all this crazy shit. So there's a sense of urgency for everybody involved. I just love it. I think it sucks that it kind of went away in terms of being defended on like main event or whatnot. They've moved it to NXT. It doesn't have its own show on Twitter anymore. But I think it's a great idea for a belt. They used to have this in Florida Championship Wrestling, but now they brought it back in terms of the speed belt, and I think it's great.
Yeah, Flobo, I want your take on it, because I'm like, today they had 2 of the matches, and I was like, both times I was about to go get up and get something from the kitchen. I was like, oh wait, it's a speed match. I'm just going to wait till the match is over, because I know there's going to be no commercial break. I know it's going to happen in 3 minutes. I'm going to see this or less, that this match is going to end. And so I sit there and I watch it. It's this TikTok generation that I'm so young and a part of. Flobo, what's your take on speed matches? I'm going to embrace it. I love speed matches. I want all matches to be 5 minutes or less.
I could definitely tell you and the YNs are hanging out.
So he got the YN.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell y'all. No, I'm actually neutral on them. I don't hate them. I had the same thing. I was gonna take head on some business, and then I saw Ludwig Americano come out. I was like, oh wow, an Americano speed match. I'm gonna chill out, but it's not something I'm asking for. It kind of reminds me of like going to a wedding and someone spends like 20 grand on flowers. It's like, it's nice, but I never went out from a wedding like the flowers they had sucked. It's like a garnish. You know what I mean? So like, so I won't knock them, but I just feel like, man, as somebody who was so into the Heritage Cup, this feels like one round of that. And there really wasn't nearly as much effort to like change the graphics around the ring for this. Mm-hmm. And so I'm kind of salty if anything. So I'm like more neutral, but neutral negative. I
think all matches should be 5 minutes or less.
Stop. Stop it.
I do. I'm like, come on. Sometimes like I'll be watching, I usually watch Raw on replay now on Netflix. And sometimes you get to the main event and you see it's like 40 minutes. Like, oh man, we can just skip up to
have you forgotten about the Attitude Era when like SmackDown had like 10 matches in 2 hours and they're all like 90 seconds?
Yeah, that's what Raw was too.
Yeah, and they weren't even good to Steve Blackman for a hot 90 seconds.
Yeah. First off, watch your tone with Steve Blackman.
It was 90 seconds, Jack.
No one could swing trash can lids like Steve Blackman.
And he did it for years. Nothing else.
But yeah, you mentioned an era that no one can let go of as being like the greatest era in the history of pro wrestling.
It was different, but it wasn't the greatest. The problem with Ruthless Aggression was like the athleticism was so good, but we're like, there's no puppies. We out.
Right.
Wrestling was way better after that.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about the Ruthless Depression era, it's funny because the Attitude Era is so overrated in terms of how we look back at it. If you watch the Attitude Era, like episode to episode, Steve Austin comes out and it's great. The Rock comes out, it's great. The Undertaker comes out, and depending on what era, maybe it's great. The rest of the show, it's about an hour and I'll say 40 minutes of absolute garbage in terms of quick wrestling matches that all end in DQ, like terrible storylines. It's not as great as you fondly remember. Austin, The Rock, and the big stars were great, but the Attitude Era in terms of wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
I am so looking forward to 20 years from now, and everyone's like, the Thunderdome era was so good. And they'll mention like the one or two things that would happen during the Thunderdome era and be like, see, it was so good back then, and forget all the other nonsense.
You're already kind of seeing that now because I saw this post. Somebody goes, oh, they've totally fumbled Heidenreich. And it's like, were you alive?
I love Heidenreich, bro. Heidenreich. Oh, he had the little disaster pieces, the poetry.
Yeah.
It was great.
And that scene with Michael Cole.
Okay, why did you guys think about that scene first? Think about it. What's wrong with y'all, man?
That was burned into my brain. I'm not gonna
Attitude Era has so much trash. Remember Perry Saturn and Moppy, Pretty Mean Sisters, Meat. Like, it was just dumb stuff, man.
Yeah. I always thought Meat was living the dream. Come on, who wouldn't want to be Meat back?
You trust a man who'd been to Planet Stasiak? I wouldn't. I would not.
Well, this was a blast, Albert. It was fun having you on and chopping it up, as they say, talking about pro wrestling. Flobo hanging his head in shame. Is that
chopping it up, guys?
But thanks so much for being on with us. You stayed your hour. We appreciate it.
Oh no, it wasn't like a requirement. I'm here because I want to be here. I love you. I love my YNs.
Your
bouncy.
Your court-ordered hour is finished. We appreciate you being on. Everyone like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow Alfred. But Alfred, where can everyone find you and catch up on all the cool stuff you're working on in those very well edited videos you put together?
Thank you so much. Yeah, at Pro Wrestling Bits right here on YouTube. I just dropped my new video today. I'm going to be dropping another one this week. And then at This Is Nasty on Twitter, you go on Forbes, Alfred Konuwa. I cover Raw and SmackDown and pay-per-views. It's going to be a very busy month or two with Survivor Series, John Cena's retirement and all that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. You'll be hearing a lot from me. And I hope to come back on here. You guys have been great.
Yeah, this has been fun, and I'd love to have you back on. And I gotta also add how you gotta feel a little good being the Forbes wrestling guy, right? Like that's a great publication to be.
Definitely.
Like something like, oh, I'm on Wisconsin Internet News.com or whatever. But like Forbes, like that's money.
That is great. It's not as good as Pro Wrestling Bits, but it's good. It's near that level. Like I like that. I take more pride in Pro Wrestling Bits, and that's a shoot. But I really do like Forbes and all they've given me and all they've done for me and my platform.
But yeah, everyone, make sure to follow Alfred. Make sure to check out everything he's working on. But before we go, Flobo, where can the world follow you and everything you're working on?
Oh, well, I have one of those lame blogs you were talking about over at justasandwich.com. New content every single week. And of course, drapedandgold.com, hanging with Jack Farmer when he's here and all my friends when he's not.
Yeah, I'm not here all the time. So Flobo has his round table of friends he brings on. But you follow me at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. Check out all the stuff I'm working on there. Again, everyone like, comment, share, subscribe, 5-star review, all that good stuff. It means the world. That does it for us. We'll see you next time. I'm hitting the end stream button. Prepare for that outro.